Hi guys, welcome to my channel. If you haven't been here before, my name is Jessica and I talk about books, mostly sci-fi fantasy, but a little bit of everything. Today, I am really excited because I have a book haul. I have been saving up some packages and some other things that I have bought to be able to share today. So without any further ado, I think let's go ahead and get started. So I have a few packages to open that I haven't opened yet. So let's go ahead and start with this one. Yeah. These have been sitting around for a while in my living room waiting for me to do this video. So we have One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. So this is a 5-star read for me. I've already read it, and its sequel to Twisted Crowns. They are dark, I would say, fairy tale based romantasy. And I highly recommend them for people that don't usually read romantasy because I think that the romance is good and the world building is even better. You should know that the first and second books do follow different couples, but they're all in the book, all 4 of the characters. This is such a great series. And I love this illustration on the cover with the girl and the cloud, and it makes sense if you've read the book, but I'm really excited to own that one. I still need to pick up the sequel. I've not gotten to that one yet. And then I have another box to open. If I can get this open without having to fetch the scissors. All right. So it looks like there are 2 things in here. I don't remember ordering 2 things, so let's see what we have. The first thing is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Faeries. This is the hardcover edition. This is a light romantasy, fantasy. I recommend it for people that really love Howl's Moving Castle. It's got that kind of vibe. It's very good, very cute. And the best thing about these books is that they are printed without a dust jacket. So everything here is just printed directly on the hardcover, which I am kind of obsessed with. So this one just came out in paperback, and I was like, well, I need to go ahead and buy the hardback while I can still get it because I just love these hardbacks so much. So I went ahead and ordered that one. It does have a non-removable sticker on the front. It's the one of the New York Times Notable Books of the Year sticker, which I didn't know, but that's okay. I'm not mad about that one. And then I have one more in this box, and that is Starling House by Alex E. Harrow, which also has, and I knew it would have, the Reese's Book Club sticker on it. I hate those, but that's okay. No shade to Reese. Read plenty of these books. So Starling House is a dark fantasy set in a crumbling mansion. It's a loose retelling of Beauty and the Beast, I think, or at least inspired by Beauty and the Beast, set in a coal mining town in Kentucky. It's really fantastic. It's the best one of her books that I have read. Her writing is very lyrical and beautiful. And again, I highly recommend this one. And this would be the book that I might recommend to people who are starting out with Alex E. Harrow's books. All right, put that down. And I have one more that is still in a package that I got earlier this week. So let's try to open that without causing trouble. All right, so let's see if I'm gonna need scissors for this. I feel like I might. All right, scissors acquired. Let's see if we can get in here. There we go. I can pull the rest of the way. All right, so this one I was really excited about. I ordered it from Pango. And this is the Stuart Turton Last Murder at the End of the World, which I just read last month and I loved so much. It was a 5-star kind of post-apocalyptic science fiction story. I really loved it. Highly recommend it. Not as confusing as the 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. So if you read that one and thought it was confusing, this one might work better for you. It does have a sticker on the front. It says it is from the Once Upon a Book Club. It's a 2024 selection. I don't know what that book club is, but that is a sticker that comes off, the kind of sticker that we like. It's got these pretty blue sprayed edges. We have a map on the inside. I read this on the Kindle edition, so I haven't seen any of this before. Love a map of the island that's in the story. And then we also have, since I guess because it's from the Once Upon a Book Club, we have a little book plate that is signed by the author in there. So I was really excited to get this one. I love a signed book, and I love this book. So I think that I paid about $12 for this on Pango, which I thought was a really good deal, especially because it's signed. So I'm really excited about that one. I'm excited to add it to my shelves. All right, so that's everything that I have that was still in a box. Everything else I have, I bought out at a store somewhere, mostly thrifted or charity stores. So let's see. The first one I have is Circe by Madeline Miller. I'll pull that forward. It's so shiny, it's really hard to get a good picture of it. So I really love Circe. Circe is a beautiful story. It is, I think, Madeline Miller's best. I think it might be better written than A Song of Achilles. Now, do I like Song of Achilles better? Maybe a little for me, but I really love this book and I think it's so pretty. And I think I picked it up at Edie's bookstore and I think that was the deciding factor for me, was that it is such a pretty book. So look at that. And then I have this book, which I just picked up yesterday and I talked about in a different video. This is The Witchwood Knot by Olivia Atwater. I picked it up in Louisville, Kentucky at a Novel Romance, which is a romance-only bookstore that I visited. And this is the first book in the Victorian fairy tales series, I think. It has a quote on the front from Alex C. Harrow. She says, "A sharp and beautiful Gothic romance." I've seen a lot of really good things about this. This isn't part of her Regency fairy tale series. I'm very excited to read it. I'm planning to read it really soon. This one I actually did pay full price for, which is really unusual for me. But when I visit a new bookstore, I feel compelled to give them my business at least one time. So that's what I did here. All right, these next books come from my local Goodwill. Sometimes you find stuff at Goodwill and sometimes it's nothing but James Patterson books and cookbooks for your microwave from the 1980s. But I had a good time this last time I went. The first book I picked up, these were all my Goodwill prices books at $2 for a hardcover, $1 for a soft cover. These are all hardcovers. So the first one is Good Morning Midnight by Lily Brooks Dalton. I have previously read this. It is a story of the end of the world. It's an apocalyptic story, but it's kind of like the quietest apocalyptic story. I know there is a movie starring, I think, George Clooney. I have not seen it. I cannot comment on that. I really love the book. It has a little bit of a different feel, I think, from a lot of apocalyptic fiction. It's not action-y. This is not an action-y book. This is a book about characters, and it's about a very few characters. It says, "It is the haunting and unforgettable story of two outsiders, a lonely scientist in the Arctic and an astronaut trying to return to Earth as they grapple with love, regret, and survival in a world transformed." I would say basically something has happened and these people are separated from the rest of humanity. And the question is, what has happened? Is there anyone else out there? I don't know. It's very good. I would highly recommend it. It's a really unusual, I would say, piece of apocalyptic fiction. And I also picked up from Goodwill at that trip, I picked up Death on the Nile by Agatha Christie. This is a Book of the Month selection, and I didn't know that Book of the Month ever did books that weren't new, and I was like, that's interesting. This is a Hercule Poirot mystery. I've read it before. It's a classic. I buy Agatha Christie's when I see them and I like the cover. And this is a fun cover, right? It's so colorful. So this is one I picked up. I'll probably reread it again eventually. I am just a huge fan of Agatha Christie. And then another one that I've read and gave a high rating to, this is I Have Some Questions for You by Rebecca Mackay. And I read this last year. It is about someone who returns to the boarding school that they went to to teach a class on podcasts, and they end up doing a podcast about a murder that occurred there when the narrator was a student. And a lot of revelations occur, obviously. It's really good. Almost thriller adjacent, I would say, but it's got a lot more to it than a thriller, or at least a typical thriller. If you like thrillers, though, I think you would like this one. It's pretty fast-paced. I really enjoyed it, so I was excited to see this one and add it to my shelves. Then the last one I got on my Goodwill trip was The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. So pull that forward. You all know what that looks like. I have not read this book. This is the one that I picked up. I like to buy books that I've already read because then I know I want to keep them on my shelf. This is so pretty though, and I've heard really good things. A lot of people say that Erin Morgenstern's books are very much kind of atmosphere, vibes, less on the plot, and I have recently discovered that that is a thing I like. Did not know that. So I'm planning to read this. It's on my TBR. So hopefully I like it, but if I don't, I'll donate it back. Not a big deal. I am excited to read it. It's quite chunky. How many pages is this? Oh, it says it's like 494, so 500 pages. So, and then while I was out of town yesterday, I went to a charity store, a charity used bookstore. They were raising money for a ministry. All the books were $7 for a hardback and $5 for a paperback. And I think that that's a little higher than a thrift store, but a little bit less than a lot of used bookstores like Half Price Books, things like that. So I picked up a few. I picked up The Beautiful Ones by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I haven't read this one. I have read Mexican Gothic by this author, and it wasn't my favorite book, but I think it was more the subject matter it kind of like freaked me out than anything else. And this is very different. It almost feels like it's kind of like a Regency romance, but also supernatural. I know all of her books are very different from each other. She makes a note of that, in fact, in the beginning of this. They are the beautiful ones, most notable socialites, and this spring is Nina's chance to join their ranks, courtesy of her well-connected cousin and his calculating wife. But the grand season has just begun, and already Nina's debut has gone disastrously awry. She has always struggled to control her telekinesis. Neighbors call her the Witch of Old House, and the haphazard manifestations of her powers make her the subject of malicious gossip. So it's kind of romancy, or at least set in that world, but also we've got some supernatural powers going on. I think it sounds really good. I'm excited to read it. And then I picked up The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. I think this is a very fun cover. Look at the back. It's so colorful. I don't know anything about this one. N.K. Jemisin is an author that I have this kind of like love-hate relationship with. I did not like the 5th season very much when I read it. I didn't like the tense that it was written in, and I also didn't find the twist surprising, and there was a whole section in the middle that I just didn't like at all. So I was not a fan of that. I know a lot of people really love that. I do really love her young adult stuff though. So this is a different series, so I thought that I would pick this one up and give a different book of hers a try. I know this one is set in an urban world. It tells the revolutionary story of culture, magic, and myths in contemporary New York City. So it's definitely going to be really different from the last book of hers that I read. Looking forward to trying that one out. And then I picked up Southernmost by Silas House. And I feel like I have a copy of this somewhere, but I can't find it, so I have not read it yet. It is written by a Kentucky author, although I think this book is actually set in Tennessee, and it says, in the aftermath of a flood that washes away much of a small Tennessee town, evangelical preacher Asher Sharp offers shelter to 2 gay men. In doing so, he starts to see his life anew and risks losing everything. His wife, locked into her own prejudices, his congregation, which shuns him after he delivers a passionate sermon in defense of tolerance, and his young son, caught in the middle of what turns into a bitter custody battle. That sounds very much right up my alley. I love stories that are about people questioning things that they have believed or things that they have been taught. That's certainly something that always really works for me, and I have heard so much praise for this. He is a Kentucky author. I am from Kentucky, so I'm looking forward to getting to that one soon. It's also a very pretty cover. Really enjoy that. And then while we were driving from that, I did pass by a little library and pick up a nonfiction book that just came out that they had in there. This is the Evangelicals. I guess it kind of goes along with this one a little bit. It is loving, living, and leaving the white evangelical church. And again, I really love stories of people questioning what they've been taught or working through what they believe. I am not evangelical. I don't come from that background, but I'm interested in seeing her thoughts and seeing her journey and just kind of like reading some about it. I flipped through it a little bit. It looked really good. And I'm always excited to see a new release in a little free library. So that was a pretty exciting find. And I feel like that is enough for this edition of Book Haul. That's weird. I feel like that's enough for today's book haul. As you can see, I like to buy a lot of books that I've already read, but occasionally I like to pick up something that I haven't if it's a really good deal and it's something that I feel like I'm going to enjoy. I'm glad that you joined me for my book haul today. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe, leave a comment. I would love to hear about any recent great finds that you found. I hope you all have a great week. I will see you in the next video. Bye.